Sexy legs. Woman Jika. Kusa Zangpo. Kem Cho. Salamat Pagi Abakaba. Asana Sante Bawana. Talofa. G'day, how are you? Welcome back again to OSKAR Bento, Visual Ethnography and Storytelling. I'm standing in the exact location, probably around about the exact time, 12 months ago. I was sitting just up here. I don't know if you can see me, but I was here, daydreaming, looking out along the Yarra River here. I'm in Warrandyte, Victoria, Australia. And I was sitting here 12 months ago, or thereabouts. It was summertime anyway. And the water was a little bit lower. But as I was sort of daydreaming and looking around 12 months ago, I first saw a figure. I might have been a little bit closer to this bush, because this bush was actually alive. It's now dead, this one. And I turned to my right because I was sort of crouched down. And as I turned to the right, about 2 foot away, maybe even closer, I saw a face. It was shape-shifting. It was like a black and white outline, black and white pencil. And I saw a face, and I was quite shocked actually. And I thought, nah, it's nothing, it's my imagination. Then I was sort of looking forward, I don't know the time span, maybe a minute or two, and I saw another shape-shifting, shadowy black and white figure walking towards me, and I saw it for about maybe 3 seconds. I've got to be careful with timing because, anyway, it was around about 3 or 4 seconds. And it was walking towards me, probably from here where that butterfly is. I don't know if you can see it, 2 meters away. And I was walking like this. Well, no. It had a walking stick in its left hand. It was walking like this. And it came virtually in front of me. I saw it walking towards me. And I saw it for about 3 seconds, maybe 4. And the moment it got to about 1 foot of me, it just vanished into thin air. It was pretty thin anyway. As I say, it was a watery black and white sort of outline, but I saw a lot of detail. It was bipedal, it walked on 2 legs. It had a walking stick, fairly thick I'd guess. In its left arm, and the walking stick was a little bit higher than its head, or probably up to its head. No, it was higher than its head. It was naked. It was a male. It had a long flaccid penis, 7 or 8 inches long, maybe even longer. I didn't see the feet, but I had the impression that perhaps it was wearing sandals, but I had the impression of large feet. It was a human figure. It had a human face. I can't really sort of describe the face because it was all black and white, but what I did see was what I thought was a shawl, in how women wear a shawl over its shoulders. But as I've been looking into Sasquatch videos and Yowie videos and the description of shape-shifting figures, that shawl was actually its long hair glistening in the sunshine. and possibly its beard coming over its shoulders. So it had long hair and possibly a beard. It didn't scare me. The face sort of, I wouldn't say scared me, but it shocked me. But a minute or two, this human, and it was a human, it wasn't, in Australia we've got kangaroos, it wasn't a kangaroo for God's sake. It had 2 legs and a long penis, and it used its arm with a walking stick. So it was a human figure. I saw its eyes, its nose, its mouth. Perhaps its nose was a little bit large, but I'm only really guessing with the facial features. Ears, I possibly saw its ears. I think it could have had large ears. And the height was probably, he was probably maybe 5 foot tall. He was sort of stooped over like that as he was walking. He seemed to be fairly old. Like when I say old, I noticed the skin. He had flabby skin, like an old age, an old man's flabby muscle. You know how it sags and sort of wobbles. So it had sort of wobbly old age man's skin. But he was still physically fit. He was quite masculine. He was sort of thin. I mean, I'm thin, but he was a little bit larger than me. But shorter, of course. But yeah, he was old. He looked to me like he was, I mean, he was in good shape. Maybe 65, 70 years old, but who knows? With the underworld figures and Yowies and Sasquatch and Yetis and Junjiti or whatever, who knows how long they live for, maybe 120 years, maybe 500 years, I don't know. But he seemed to be old, but wise as well, very wise, very in touch with nature. He was at one with nature. He was not tribal as such, he was more pagan, if I can compare a tribal person, a First Nations person, to a wise man, a witch, a pagan. He seemed to be pagan, wise man, who understood the bush and the outdoors and how to hunt and gather food. I didn't see anyone else with him. Now that face, I don't think that was him when I saw the face, possibly, but I think those two, the face and the man, could have been separate. I'm not too sure, I really don't know, but I observed him, I knew that I was seeing him, but I don't think he actually recognised me. He probably noticed me. They all notice humans and other animals, but for him to understand that I saw him, I possibly, I'm sort of borderline. I'm not too sure if he actually knew that I could see him. But as I say, he was sort of walking along, sort of stooped over, like that, sort of stooped with a walking stick. He didn't say anything to me, he didn't look at me, he was sort of looking where he was going, and he was just passing me. So yeah, I mean, and that's the first and only time I've seen, I mean, people call it shape-shifting, sort of halfway between the spirit realm and the physical realm. Perhaps I tuned in to the spirit realm. I noticed I am becoming more and more tuned in. So perhaps I was sort of tuning in, I was on the frequency of physically observing. And I've noticed that from that point on, I have seen smaller figures for like half a second, like a foot tall. Perhaps they're fairies or goblins. It's only been a split second in this area. A little bit further down, I see them sort of up high. When I'm down by the river, I might sort of hear something, a branch break or a stick falling, and I'll sort of look up and around, and I'll see sort of a watery figure moving. Much like, you know how when people sort of rub their eyes or they see little squiggly lines, and the lines are sort of moving, or dots moving when they're sort of half asleep perhaps. It's that sort of outline. You know how you sort of see a squiggly line? You know, whether it's day or night, you see sort of a squiggly line moving. It's almost like a hair is across your face and you're observing the hair move. It was that sort of outline. Very subtle, sort of grey, blacky blends. So yeah, I mean, I'm not scared of it. In one way, I'm very, very glad it happened. And of course, I've heard them. I've heard a grunt. I've heard whoops at night. I've been paralleled. I've been followed. I've had a very strong smell, a sickly smell, which was like rotting dead flesh. And the reason why I'm always sort of looking around is that's who I am now. I'm more observant now. I will look around. And if you watch closely with people who have encounters with Sasquatch or Yowies or Sabe, whatever they are, people who have seen them, when they talk to camera, they will look around. Especially like Steve Isdall on his channel, The Facts by How to Hunt, or the Round Table of Knowledge, his backup channel. When he's talking to camera, he's always, fair enough, he reads emails from a phone, but he's always looking around, along with Scott Carpenter on his channel. And perhaps even David Politis, Can-Am Missing Project, but especially Steve. He's always looking around. He's seen physically a Sasquatch as well, or 2 or 3 of them. So that's why I'm always looking around. I'm not looking for fellow humans, Homo sapiens as such, bushwalkers. But I'm acutely aware that these other humans exist, and I'm constantly looking around because I've had so much happening to me, and even a voice has called out my name at night time at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and hearing things and hearing sort of breaking branches in the bush. That's why I'm always looking around. Okay? Call me a little bit paranoid, but once you realise that they exist, that's what you do. It's just natural. And even observing the sort of the riverbank, I'll sort of pan along and sort of observe, but also up. You've got to look up. And what I've noticed is that they can come really, really close to you. That face was, as I say, like a foot or 2 away. Perhaps they're testing us, or was testing me, if they knew if I could pick up on their vibes through my gut instinct, my sixth sense. But I certainly did see it. Perhaps if it was physical, I would pick up. But yeah, interesting. But I thought I'd sort of take you to the exact location where I saw this bipedal male, this Yowie. I don't know if it was a Yowie or a Yahoo or Junjiti or an Imjim or like a Taramali. All of these other humans of various heights, spoken by the Aboriginal peoples of Australia. I know Junjiti are shorter, they're like 4 foot tall as an adult, and they can be quite dangerous, along with like bunyips who live in swamps. They can be very dangerous as well. And even as a side note, you have to understand that these stories have been told for millennia by First Nations peoples all over the earth. Virtually every single tribe, whether it's Sand people of the Kalahari, the Hottentot, Pygmies, Inuit Eskimos, North American Indians, Australian Aborigines, tribes in Papua New Guinea, tribes in South America, even other extinct races, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans. I wouldn't be surprised, especially the Egyptians. But even there's stories in the Bible of giants over 16 foot tall, giants. They call them Nephilim, fallen angels. But that's getting into another sort of aspect of this phenomena. But yeah, even when the early settlers came, or the convicts or the gold prospectors, when they came to Australia, they were warned by the tribal peoples, the elders of Australia. Watch out for the Yowies, watch out for the bunyips. You know, they have killed people. And these early settlers did come across them. They shot at them. They were killed by them. They were chased by them. Their horses were spooked by them. There's numerous newspaper articles printed in Australia, mainly up and down the east coast of Victoria, but also central Australia as well, and the west coast and Perth, Northern Territory, Darwin, and the islands off it. So, yeah. But anyway, this is my experience. I thought I'd bring you to, or one of my experiences, I thought I'd bring you to the location where I saw the face and the male human. You have to be careful around water because water can be very deafening. So if you're away from water, you can hear a lot better, but when you're close to water, it is very, very loud. You can probably hear it on the microphone. If I turn my microphone, yeah, I don't know if you picked it up or not. You would have picked up the bird. But yeah, so you have to be very careful around water. Now, I aren't saying be paranoid and be scared. I want you to enjoy the outdoors and be one with nature, but just be aware that tribal peoples, First Nations peoples, have always known of these other humans. As I said before, they're mentioned in the Bible, you know, mentioned by various tribal peoples and ancient cultures in the past, and to live on in the present moment. So, yeah. But anyway, that's as I said, I thought I'd bring you to this location. Yeah, enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you guys and girls later. See ya.